Today is Tuesday, July 12th. We're at the Farnborough Air Show with Randy Tinseth at Boeing. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning.
Can you give us an update on the MAX program? Starting with the MAX 7, you made an announcement yesterday of additional seats, and can you tell us about what's going on with that program?
Yeah, well, first, it is our great pleasure to have a MAX 8 here, hopefully flying today at the air show. Yesterday we were rained out. It is an indication, I think, is how well the program is going with that airplane flying and on track to deliver middle of next year. In terms of the MAX 7, we came to a final configuration of the airplane just a couple of weeks ago, and that new configuration or final configuration of the airplane is essentially an airplane that is about 2 seat rows larger than the current 737-700. So not only will it carry a typical 2 class, about 12 more passengers, it also has a lot more range capability. So we're bringing an airplane that we see complements what we've done with the MAX 8 a little bit better in terms of size, has a significant economic advantage over our competition, and is able to open up new markets like no single-aisle airplane has ever been able to do.
Sounds great. What about the upper end of the market? There's been some talk about the 9 and competing with the A321neo that's been outselling you guys a little bit, but
that's a great question. I think that the changes that we've made in the 737 MAX 7 is an indication that we are really focusing on being nimble and responsive to our customers, and if we see an opportunity that makes value for our customers, makes value for us, we'll go forward. So one of the things we've been asked to look at by our customers and working with our customers is there something else we need to do on the top end of the single aisle market, whether that means a little bigger airplane, more capable airplane, exactly not sure yet, but we continue to have those conversations. If there's a market there and it makes sense, we will build a bigger 737.
Sounds good. Speaking of bigger, that brings us to the middle of the market, which is either a very large single aisle or a smaller twin aisle. Can you tell us about your current thinking on the middle of the market airplane?
Well, I tell you what, aside from Brexit, I think that's the next most popular question I've received over the last couple of days. The middle of the market is a unique space, a space that's not being served today. It's that market between, say, the 737 and the A320. And the 787. So it's a market space that to some extent was served by the 757 in the past, but as we look to the future, our customers are interested in an airplane that would be about maybe 20% larger than a 57, fly a bit longer so it has good North Atlantic type of range. And we've been in dialogue with our customers now for a while. I think they are very interested. They're enthusiastic about what an airplane could do in this segment. We're looking at the technologies that we'd have to bring to the market to make it viable. But that's one of those cases, though. Again, I talk about value. Our customers are willing to pay a certain amount for that kind of airplane. It brings different value. We have to look really hard as what it's going to cost to develop the airplane and produce the airplane. And right now, that business case doesn't quite come together. So we'll keep iterating with our customers on what that airplane would look like, and we'll keep working on the business case. And if it does come together, we may have a new airplane come middle of the next decade.
Sounds good. Yesterday in your presentation on the CMO, you noted the changes in the wide-body market, and particularly the growth of a larger twin segment, the 300 to 400 seats. Can you give us your thoughts on that?
Well, I think as I was preparing for the current market outlook this year, I really wanted to take a look at how the landscape has changed in the wide-body market. And, I've been now in this industry for 35 years, so I got a chance to go back and look at my experiences. And I don't think we recognized it at the time, but in 1990, it was really the peak of the big airplane market. But what was interesting about 1990, as an airline, you had 2 choices. You had a big 747, and those airplanes not only were big, but the longest flying aircraft in terms of range in the market. And then you had a number of small wide bodies like the DC-10, the 767, A310, and A300. Well, what's changed since that time, though, is we've seen the evolution of that medium wide-body market. It started with the MD-11 and A340, and now it's being occupied by the 777. So back in 1990, when I made my first international flight, there was essentially 0% market share for that medium wide-body segment. Today, about 35% of the aircraft are flying in that segment. And as we look to the future, I mean, we're going to have an airplane, the 787-10 in that segment. We got the 777 there today, and we'll have the 777X. So it has been one of the fastest growing, the very large segment. So as airlines have looked to grow in the past and they've looked for efficiency, they found it with an airplane like the 777. So it's not been good news for the A380, and to some extent it's not been good news for the 747-8 Intercontinental, because those airplanes are really being pushed out of the market by these new large wide bodies, twin engine wide bodies.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the 747, you plan to keep that in production, and is the cargo market coming back and being more robust?
That's a great question, and to your question, I guess when we look at the future of the 747-8, it's really about the cargo market. About 60% of our airplanes in that segment have sold into the cargo market. It is the most efficient freighter in the industry. We've had to make some tough choices over the last year. We're actually taking the rate down on the 747 to one airplane every other month, starting in September. The cargo market has been challenged. We do expect trade to start to pick up, but I'll tell you, the economists have told us that now for the last 5 years. I think the fundamentals are starting to get better, especially as the U.S. economy improves. But we'll just have to see how it plays out. We do know that there's a large number of 747-400 freighters that will start that replacement cycle late this decade, and we're trying to bridge our way to that time.
Sounds great. And I won't ask you about Brexit. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I almost brought it up.